This week is a week full of Crockpot meals. I have 6 easy Crockpot meals to share with you. Off the week with a meatless meal, which is perfect for Meatless Monday. This one is a stuffed pepper recipe. In a bowl, I have about a half a cup of diced tomatoes, 1 can of rinsed and drained black beans, 1 can of corn drained, a half an onion diced, and salt and pepper to taste, half a cup of salsa. I'm using paste chunky medium salsa. 2 cups of cooked rice. I gave it a really good stir. It smells so good. I have 5 peppers. I did 2 green, an orange, a red, and a yellow. I hollowed them out and got the seeds out, and the ones that were not standing up on their own, I just kind of trimmed them a little bit on the bottom because they need to stand up in the crock pot. Now I'm going to fill each one of these peppers. Okay, so you fill the pepper halfway and then you top it with cheese and then you fill it up the rest of the way. So I have this one halfway, I'm going to top it with cheese and I'll continue the process. I am taking my spoon and I am actually packing the filling right into those peppers, you know, because they're stuffed peppers, they're gonna be stuffed. And now I'm gonna top this with cheese. I am taking a half cup of chicken stock and adding it to my crock pot. Next, I'm placing the stuffed peppers in and cooking them on high for 4 hours or on low for 6 hours. Look at how good these look. I just took the cover off from the crock pot. So the broth that I had in the bottom pretty much cooked out completely. So that is just a little side note. I might add a little more broth next time. This just fell right apart. These stuffed peppers were full of flavor and absolutely delicious. You could easily add meat to them, but if you do, I would cut back on the beans and only do a half a can of beans instead of a full can. For the white chicken chili, the recipe calls for chicken stock. I do not have chicken stock, so I have added some of this better than bouillon. I'm also going to use regular chicken bouillon too, but the recipe calls for a box and a half of chicken stock. So a box is 32 ounces, which is 4 cups. So I am going to put this in and then do another 2 cups with some chicken bouillon in it, and that should be pretty good. Can't see them very well, but I do have a can of rinsed and drained cannellini beans, so that's in there with the broth. The recipe says a can of corn. It does not say to drain it, but I drained mine. I just added a bunch of cilantro. The recipe says as much as you want, but if you're not crazy about cilantro, you can definitely leave this step out. I'm going to be adding a block of cream cheese. I did get the less fat because it just makes me feel better. I thought I might as well try to, you know, cut down on the fat a little bit, but I am cutting it up and I think it'll melt better in the crock pot while it's cooking. A 1/4 cup of heavy cream, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, and 2 teaspoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1 can of green chilies, 1 teaspoon of oregano, salt and pepper to taste, 2 cloves of garlic. I'm going to give this a good stir and then I'm going to add 3 chicken breasts and cook this on low for 6 hours. About halfway through cooking, I shredded up the chicken. I'm going to add that back into the pot of soup. I'm going to add in this 16-ounce container of sour cream, and then I'm going to let it finish cooking for the rest of the time. This soup smells so good. Look at that. Yum. The beans and corn, cilantro, chicken. That's not the last thing you do. You gotta have a little cheese on top of it. And then I am going to serve some Tostitos on the side. So you can dip a Tostito right into the soup or place them on top. Look at that. Oh, so good. This chili was so good that Jason's exact words were, "This is fantastic. It is a keeper." So there you go. To start off with the chicken and biscuits, I put about a half a can of cream of chicken soup in the bottom of my crock pot. I diced up 3 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. The recipe calls for just salt and pepper, but I also added some onion powder and garlic powder. I added about 2 cups or so of sliced carrots. Now I've added about 2 cups or so of broccoli chopped. I added 1.5 cans of cream of chicken soup with a total of 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. I'm gonna give all of this a good stir, and now I'm gonna cook it on high for 3 hours. All right, so I have a pack of, they're just home style biscuits, no butter, no flakiness, just regular buttermilk biscuits. And I'm going to cut these biscuits into, they can 4s, if not, maybe even smaller than that, I'm not sure. I ended up cutting the biscuit into 6. So I'm going to do that with each biscuit. Now that the biscuits are all over the mixture, I'm going to put my crock pot on high for 1 more hour, and then I will show you what it looks like when it's done. It looks so good. You got to kind of dig underneath those biscuits to get all the goodies. It smells wonderful. I cannot wait to try it. This was an untraditional chicken and biscuits, but it was so good and very, very easy to prepare. And it fills you up really quickly. I will definitely be making this one again. For this recipe, you need 10 cloves of garlic. I have this little garlic press type thing that I found on Amazon, and you put a garlic right into the middle of it, roll it around, and it takes the skins off, and it's not difficult to give it a good roll. So I'm going to need 8 whole, and 2 of these will be halved. And no, this is not difficult to clean out. It easily just rinses out really well with some soapy water. Cleans up real quick. Give it a good dry, and it's ready to use again. So for this chicken recipe, you need 4 lemons and some rosemary sprigs. I cut one of the lemons in 4ths, and then I'm going to take 1 sprig of rosemary and I'm going to put it inside of the chicken, along with 4 cloves of garlic. So I took 2 lemons and I cut the ends off from the lemons, and then I cut them in half. In the bottom of the crock pot, I placed 4 halves of the lemon, 4 cloves of garlic. It says 1 sprig of rosemary, so I kind of broke it up a little bit and placed it all over the bottom of my crock pot. Now I'm going to lay the chicken on top of this. After stuffing the cavity of the chicken, I have seasoned it with salt and pepper on both sides. And I actually rubbed it in a little bit so that it really sticks to the skin of the chicken. So I put the rest of the lemon slices on top of the chicken. The garlic I cut in half, and I placed that on the chicken along with the rosemary. It says to only use 1 sprig of rosemary, but I kind of broke it up really well, got the aroma going with it. Now I'm going to put the lid on this chicken, and I'm going to cook it on low for about 6 to 8 hours. I thought I would put this little insert in here really quickly. I ran out of bleach wipes to clean up the chicken mess, so what I ended up doing was I took my antibacterial hand soap and I kind of just dripped it on my countertop all over where the chicken was. I have a paper towel, and I'm going through and I'm really wiping down the countertop where that chicken and all the, food was with antibacterial hand soap. So if you find yourself in a pinch and you're needing to clean up any kind of like meat juices or something, kind of gross, you can always use antibacterial hand soap because it will kill the bacteria from the chicken juices. The chicken is done. It looks really good. At this point, if you want to, you can stick it underneath of the broiler. It actually was so tender. One of the legs come off, a couple pieces of meat come off. Justin's gonna taste test it. It's hot, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, yeah, it's a keeper.
Yeah, I like it.
This is how tender this chicken is. Look at that. You can just peel it off with a fork. This chicken was a huge hit. Now Timothy is not overly crazy about a strong lemon taste. Next time I make it, I will probably just cut back on the lemon a little bit. First thing, I am spraying my slow cooker. Next, I am taking a can of home-style biscuits and placing them in the bottom of my slow cooker. Now I am adding half a package of cooked scrambled sausage. I used Jimmy Dean breakfast sausage. On top of that, I am smoothing out a can of cream of mushroom soup and adding salt and pepper. Then I start the layering process all over again. Biscuits, the rest of the sausage, another can of cream of mushroom soup, salt and pepper, and I cook it on low for 4 hours. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it is done. Oh my goodness, it smells so good. Look at all those layers. Yum. Jason already dug into it. So on the side, I have some homemade bread toasted, and then Tim and Jason both have some fried eggs, but Jay and Tim already said that it is really good and it is a keeper. So I'll be making this again. It was so easy. 3 ingredients, 4 hours, and dinner's ready. I got this recipe from my Bashful Life. She doesn't use measurements very well, so I'm just gonna kinda go with the flow here. You use a 6-ounce can of tomato paste. I'm putting everything in a bowl, and then I'm gonna mix it all together so that the flavors distribute evenly. I'm adding a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. I'm gonna use some salt and pepper to taste, a tablespoon of sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper, a teaspoon each of oregano, Italian seasoning, garlic powder, and basil. I'm going to use a couple cloves of minced garlic and 1 cup of beef stock. After I added a little bit of that tomato and seasonings to the bottom of the crock pot, I put in a roast. I have also chopped up about a cup of carrots, a cup of celery, and some onion. I'm going to add that to the crock pot as well. I decided to add the chopped vegetables first before I add the rest of the sauce. This already smells fantastic. It hasn't even started cooking. So now that all of the ingredients are in the crock pot, I am going to put this on low. I'm going to cook it for 6 to 8 hours. After the roast has finished cooking, you put it on a cutting board or whatever, and you shred it up. So I have the meat right back into that sauce, and I'm just letting the juices soak into it. Over here on the stove, I'm cooking up some penne pasta. This is my new strainer. I just got it on Amazon. I'll have it linked below. You can change the size of it and have it for both sinks. You can wash vegetables, fruits, dishes. You can stack dishes in it, it showed. The flavor with this beef ragu was out of this world. Me and my guys all said how good it would be just as a roast without adding the pasta or shredding it. All of the recipes are linked below. If you are looking for similar content, just hit the video here. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.